clearing close in the forest you'll find a fabulous banquet, a fairy walk. If you close your eyes and you open your mind, the veil disappears and you'll see it all.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and today I am finally back on here sharing, can I speak? Oh my goodness. Today I am finally back on here sharing with you guys a really insane true paranormal story. I've told you guys in so many videos like this one that I created an email, questions@haileyreese.com, for you guys to share your experiences with me, to communicate with me, and I definitely do my best to read through those. Like, you guys are the best part of every single day, and learning about you and getting to know you, even if it is just through an email, is one of the most special things I can do. Now, in this email, I get a lot of your own personal scary stories, and so many of them just send me so many chills and just reassure me that like this paranormal thing is real. We're not insane. These things have happened. However, I just recently received an email from a woman by the name of Sienna, and this email has been on my mind consistently ever since I've read it. She gave me permission to actually come on here and share this story with you guys, just because I felt it was so incredible and so mind-blowing that I didn't want to just keep it to myself. I wanted to share it with you guys to restore some faith that loved ones are always watching over us. So without further ado, let's get into this video because I'm really anxious to share it with you and read through all of your comments as to what on earth you guys think has happened. So let's get into this story. So Sienna started her email by basically telling me where she was from and the fact that she was adopted. She said that she was adopted out as a newborn baby. She had really great adoptive parents, but like her entire life, she was constantly wondering like who her birth parents were. She said that this really bothered her a lot because she knew that it would hurt her adoptive parents if they knew that she was like longing to know who she came from, but she just always had wondered like, you know, what were my parents like? What did they look like? What was their story? Why did they put me up for adoption, etc., etc. Her adoptive parents said that she was put up for adoption because they fell pregnant relatively young and they couldn't afford to have a child. So they really wanted her to have the best life. Her adoptive parents reassured her that she was born into nothing but love and that they just did what they thought was best for her to live a great life. But she still always wondered like what had ever happened to her parents. So as she got a little bit older, she decided that she was going to ask her adoptive parents if it would be possible to meet her birth parents. And they were kind of like taken back by it. It's obviously a little bit sad when you adopt somebody and then they want to meet their birth parents, but it's also understandable. I think we all like that sense of identity of like knowing where we come from. So she asked them and they said they would get in touch with the adoption agency and see what they could do. And I'm not really familiar with how adoption works as far as like actually meeting your birth parents, but I think you can make a request and then they can either like accept or decline. Like it has to be equal on both parties. They can't disclose information of people who don't want to be found ultimately. So I guess they had put in a request and they never heard back. So she started to tell me that this really started to hurt her because she felt as though like, you know, I've thought of these people my whole life. Why do they never want to see me? It was just like a really sad time in her life. So around this time, she was about like 19 or 20, and she said that she was crying a lot over the situation because she just felt very out of place and rejected in a sense, and it was really weighing on her. So she said she needed some fresh air because she couldn't stop crying. She couldn't like get out of this like mental state that she was in. So she ended up going for a walk to the park by her house. And when she got to the park, she noticed that there was somebody else sitting on the bench at the park. So she like shyly went to walk away because she was crying and she was embarrassed that this person was going to see her crying. And this woman stood up and said, "Why don't you come sit with me?" And she said normally she wouldn't have went to sit with somebody, especially being like in the position that she was and being really sad. But she made the decision to go and sit next to this person. And she described this woman as so kind, so sweet, and just understanding and empathetic. But she said one thing was weird about this woman. It seemed almost as though she was expecting her and almost as though she knew her situation. So the woman was like prying at her to like find out what was wrong and like what was going on with her. And she told me at this point that she's a very closed off person. She doesn't normally open up about her feelings, especially to strangers. So it was odd that she just felt the urge and the need to just vent about her situation that was so personal and really, really, really upsetting to her, I guess is the way to put it. So she sat down. The woman asked her what was going on. She basically went on this long rant about how, you know, she has his adopted parents and blah, 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 and she really would like to know her birth parents, and not even to form a relationship, just to meet them and to know like where she came from. And this woman just sat there and just listened and hardly spoke anything. And when she finished like her rant as to what was going on and what was going on in her mind, the woman looks her in the eyes and says, "I know your parents love you very much, and they are so very proud of you, and them not reaching out doesn't mean that they don't want to know you." And she's looking at her like, how would you know this? And it kind of made her feel a little bit weird, because this woman said it in such a way like she knew, like as if she knew her parents. And she just exchanged a couple of words of encouragement and just told her like that it's all gonna work out, it's all gonna be okay, and everything like that. And then she looks at her right as Sienna's getting ready to leave, and she says, "Your dad will talk to you soon, I just know it." And that's when Sienna was like, okay, this is like the strangest thing ever. Like, what just happened? So she leaves the park, she goes back home, she feels a little bit better, she's cried, she's vented, like everything's off her chest, and eventually she just forgets about it. Now this is where things get to the point of, this hasn't left my mind. I have goosebumps, I have chills. When I think about it, my like mind just explodes. A couple of years later, Sienna receives a phone call from her adoption agency. She's now an adult, saying that her birth father would like to meet her. All of a sudden, she has these emotions just flying through her mind, because she has no idea why all of a sudden he wants to see her, why they want to meet her now, and why they didn't want to before. Like, this had finally just left her mind. She was over it. It had been a couple of years. She'd come to terms and to peace with the situation. So she hesitates to actually go and meet him, because she felt as though it was a little bit strange that all of a sudden now he wants to just meet her. Like, it's been years. But she ends up deciding to go and meet her birth father. She goes and she meets up with her birth father, and it was like a really, really emotional thing. And then she asks him, "Where's my mom?" And he proceeds to tell her that her mother passed away years before. So obviously she's heartbroken, but he says, "I'll show you a picture of her so that you know what she looked like, and I'll tell you all about her." When he turns his phone to her, the face on the phone screen was the woman that she'd seen at the park that day. Like, I don't even know like how to process that. Like, her mother was there at the park, and she had already been dead for a couple of years at that point. So Sienna just starts to bawl her eyes out, can't stop crying, can't even explain why. But she went on to tell me that that moment was when she realized that she was loved all along, that her birth mom, though she had passed, knew that she was hurting and needed that reassurance of love, and to tell her that her father would come. I just think that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. Like, when I read this, I was actually crying. Like, the story is so reassuring, just to know that our loved ones are around, that our loved ones hear us cry, they see our experiences, they celebrate our wins, they're there for our losses. Like, there is an afterlife. And in hearing this story, like, it's just so beautiful. And she did note one final thing. She told me that the reason that her birth father hadn't reached out was because it was right around the time that her mother had died, and he just couldn't bring himself to meet her yet. He was coping, he didn't know what to do, and it was just a really devastating time for him. I don't know about you guys, this story just makes my heart feel so full. It's so insane, the paranormal world. Like, it's so insane that there's so much more beyond what we experience here in the physical realm. There's so much to look forward to, and it kind of reassures me each day that my grandpa and my loved ones who will pass or have passed, I'm gonna knock on wood, are never really gone. And it's just a see you later, not a goodbye. And I think that if any of you have any loved ones who have crossed over or are no longer here, to just remember stories like these, and remember that they're always, always around you, protecting you, guiding you, and proud of you. Well, you guys, that is it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I couldn't not share it. Like, this story just, I needed it. I really, really needed it. So thank you so much to Santa for allowing me to share such a personal thing with the Reese's Pieces. And this is the part where I'm gonna encourage you guys to please, please, please go ahead, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this. Have you had an experience like this? Please comment, engage, be kind to one another while doing so. And that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would absolutely love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button, join the Reese's Pieces. We love you so much. And please, 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 if you do enjoy my content and my videos, turn on your post notifications, because there's a weird thing with YouTube. Sometimes they don't notify people in their subscription boxes, and I don't want you guys to miss out on my content if you do enjoy it. So please do that. And please, oh my goodness, I'm rambling. Give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It makes my heart super happy and I really, really, really appreciate it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.